From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, February the 14th, 2020. Palestinian demonstrations were reported today in the West Bank, some of which were violent. One IDF soldier was said to have been lightly injured by a stone thrown at him, and 4 Palestinians were said to have been hurt. And another incendiary balloon cluster launched from Gaza landed in southern Israel today in the town of Netivot. Police sappers were called to the scene and there was no damage or injury reported. This follows reports last night from an IDF official telling the press that Israel and terror group Hamas, who controls Gaza, had reached a ceasefire agreement, that Hamas would halt the launching of such devices as well as the launching of rockets at Israel, and Israel would remove sanctions against Gaza, like the limiting of its fishing zone, which Israel has reportedly lifted today. More response now to report to you about to the so-called blacklist released by the UN Human Rights Council this week of businesses doing business with Israel over the Green Line, meaning in East Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, and the West Bank. House Majority Leader Democrat Steny Hoyer said the Human Rights Council was being taken over by the discriminatory BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions campaign, whose mission, as expressed plainly by its founders, he said, is to effect a one-state solution that eliminates Israel as a Jewish state. Hoyer said the council's work has been hijacked by those bent on delegitimizing the Jewish state instead of doing the actual work of supporting justice and human rights around the world, adding no country is perfect, including Israel, but what makes the BDS movement so insidious is that at its heart, it seeks to undermine the right of Jews to live in a Jewish democratic state in their ancestral homeland. The American Jewish Committee thanked Hoyer for his strong denunciation of the hypocritical blacklist and for, they said, his unwavering commitment to the U.S.-Israel partnership. Several countries have expressed their support for Israel at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Germany, the Czech Republic, and reportedly also Austria submitted opinions to the court backing Israel's position. The court is at the moment deciding whether to open an investigation into possible war crimes committed by Israel in Gaza and the West Bank. Germany, in its submission, called itself a staunch supporter of the ICC, but that the court does not have jurisdiction in the region, as Palestine cannot be considered a state. The deadline to file the legal opinions at the ICC expired today. Well, yesterday marked the 14th anniversary of the death of Alon Halima in France, kidnapped and tortured for weeks, targeted because he was Jewish. Halima's mother, Ruth, wrote a book in French telling of the ordeal called 24 Days. It was released on the anniversary yesterday in English and in the U.S. for the first time. The English edition is co-published by Berman House and the Anti-Defamation League, whose CEO Jonathan Greenblatt made a personal promise to Elon's mother to share her son's story. Ruth Halima writes that she wanted to remind people of what hatred and intolerance can do. Hatred for the other, intolerance of what we see as different. The JTA reports that a delegation from the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations visited Saudi Arabia this week, believed to be the first official visit to the kingdom by an American Jewish organization since 1994. The visit included meetings with senior Saudi officials discussing such topics as combating terrorism. The Jerusalem Post reports that Bahrain will sign an agreement with the United States to promote religious tolerance and mutual respect. The King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence in Bahrain will sign a memorandum of understanding with the U.S. next month to that end in the Persian Gulf nation. U.S. Special Envoy to Monitor and Combat Anti-Semitism, Ilan Carr, who will be honored at the event, told Medialine, Bahrain recognizes that anti-Semitism is not only evil, but that it inflicts a terrible toll on the societies that embrace it. He said, I am grateful to the King Hamad Global Center for Peaceful Coexistence for proposing this collaboration with my office to fight anti-Semitism, especially in the Arab and Muslim world, and promoting mutual respect and affection between the peoples and religions of the Middle East. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, February the 14th. Live Shabbat services are coming up from Central Synagogue, followed by a concert at 7:30. At 7:50, it's Jewish humor from the 92nd Street Y. At 8:50, the film The Pin, a love story in the shadow of the Holocaust. And then it's a Kabbalat Shabbat service from the Hampton Synagogue. And coming up right after this newscast, a look at this week's Torah portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, February the 14th, 2020. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom.